Hello, welcome to this video about the lunar eclipse that just happened a few days ago. This lunar eclipse, as we know, in Virgo. And I'm doing this video. This is the last part, the video part 3. I've done video part 1 and 2. So it's because there are other things that I didn't have time to talk about. So I'm going to talk about them now. And yeah, it's still the eclipse now because we know that a week after the eclipse, things can still happen, even month after the eclipse, but especially this week, like now. Don't know about you. You can always comment under this video, but like for me, yeah, even yesterday, today, I'm still having event and realization linked to this eclipse. So it's definitely still playing out in our lives. Yeah, so the last thing that I have noted is that it's no coincidence for this eclipse that the universe is sending, signals in little things, such as you see that Mercury is conjunct Nessus, and you see that Mercury is at 2029, and Nessus is at 2029. So yeah, it's an exact conjunction. So that's why I think that it's worth talking about it. And for your information, Nessus Nessus is a planet part of a centaur group. So Nessus is a centaur, like Chiron. Chiron now is at 24 of Eris. So Nessus, yeah, is a centaur if you want to look more for yourself. But I'm going to say some things about Nessus now because Mercury is the ruler of this full moon eclipse in Virgo, and it's Mercury in Pisces retrograde that is exactly conjunct Nessus. So we felt the Nessus effect at the eclipse, and we are still, feeling it now. So that will help you to, understand what the event at this time are linked to in your life. What's the deeper meaning into this? So yeah, and Mercury is ruling the south node also at this eclipse because the south node is in Virgo with the moon. So yeah, it's quite powerful to note about Nessus. And Nessus is about basically into to start with in a short way to describe Mercury and Nessus. You can say that it can be summed up to a viciously painful verbal attack. Okay, so and that's exactly what happened to me if you've seen my previous video part 2 on the day of the eclipse. Believe it or not, that my Mercury is exactly at 8, in conjunct the south node in my birth chart. And at the exact time of the eclipse, I have received a viciously painful verbal attack, so yeah, it's for real. So this is what, in a nutshell, you can think of because Nessus is about issues of abuse of power. Nessus is where we are helpless and being taken advantage of, or where we are being oppressed. This can be by a trickster, a wounded trickster. Nessus has to do with inherited ancestral trauma. And in general, when you see Nessus in your chart, or like now in a transit chart, you know that somehow is to do with some kind of abuse dynamics. And Nessus transit activate an intensification of suffering, which leads to healing because once we lost our first hope and innocence, regarding the topic linked to the planet, to the sign and house that Nessus is transiting in our chart, right? Then we can release certain ties that bind us to some situation, places, and individuals. So you have to see where Nessus is now in your chart with this Mercury, which is in the Pisces house of your chart. And this is where such events may have, probably have, unfolded. So you can link up all the dots. So with Nessus transit, it feels as if we got burnt, poisoned, betrayed, or lied to so painfully that we then reach a turning point where we finally cut ties and release ourselves from what's become too toxic in our life. And then we can stop wasting our energy away to old traumas. As a result, we can heal abuse patterns in relationships as the fatal consequences of how we were wounded or how we wounded another are being brought to our awareness. Because Nessus transit is magnifying the disturbing selfishness and cruelty in ourselves and others. It's also highlighting the viciousness from such attacks. At times, it can also cause chaos in our life. And the chaos that Nessus and the pain and chaos that Nessus can cause when he touches a planet so close like now with Mercury, or if you ever get a Nessus transit in your chart, or maybe in your birth chart, you actually have Nessus conjunct another planet. So you will know about this kind of theme. The thing is, yes, the purpose of this transit is that after we went through this experience, we will be able to get a deeper understanding about our own ingrained behavior, which needs to be acknowledged, healed, and released, ended and finished. For us to transcend to another and a healthier level in our relationships life. So now, because we have to take into account that Nessus is in Pisces, this means that this kind of, what I've said, abuse of power that happened, it was on a feeling level. It was something deep in our soul, in ourselves, beyond the physical world, like the metaphysical and our spiritual belief, and the ideal dreams that we aspire to reach. This is where the Nessus poison is dissolving and melting the ancestral wounds that hold us back from a spiritually healthier life. So to put it simply, Mercury conjunct Nessus, such as there in this red cycle. This means that Mercury, because to understand what this conjunction means, so we have to break this down. And Mercury, first of all, is our ideas, our thought, communications, interaction with the world, and that includes talking, writing, and activities like I'm doing right now with you doing this video. This is a mercurial activity. Then Nessus in Pisces is about deep healing on a spiritual, psychic, and emotional level. It's about how you respond to your environment on a feeling level. So with the conjunction, it is going to be possible to talk about things that it's not usually possible to talk about. Mercury is going to bring to the surface the topics about emotional hurt from the past that needs healing. So why? Because it's in Pisces, a water sign, and also it's trining Jupiter, let's not forget, which is in Cancer. And I think I have explained in my previous video that with Jupiter in Cancer, already we have this theme of having to heal our emotions. And Mercury in Pisces is also the communication that is more intuitive, empathic. It's about slowing down communication, like taking your time whenever necessary. And also, right now, needless to say that we are surrounded by a lot of darkness on some social media, in the news, everywhere. So it's good like to slow down, such as to take care of your mind and remember that it's easy to be taken into this darkness and then this dark thought, but then that's what you will manifest. So you can choose which timeline you want to project your consciousness into, and then because what you think is what you will manifest. So instead of giving into fears, just watch and listen uh, information that is uplifting, that bring you some optimism and hope. Surely this is not about escaping reality, but at the end of the day, yeah, you are just one person in one location, and for a certain reason, this is why we are born here. And we can only focus on having positive thoughts. It's like the power of group meditation. If a lot of people gather together and think positively, then most likely, positive will come out of it. You could, for example, heal someone with the power of the thought. So that's why we don't have to give into this darkness. And yeah, now with Mercury in Pisces retrograde, and after, like I just said, a lot of us, we have been dealing with some kind of deep wounding, then it's a good time to nurture ourselves. It's a good time to relax our mind. Even if you want to look at some entertainment, do some meditation, dreaming, to manifest your dreams, do some creative works. So yeah, that's rather than being in the overtaken by all this Virgo chaos that we're having right now, this crisis. Yeah, with this Pisces stellium, it's an opportunity and it's a divine calling to see the bright side of life, and to be grateful for all the positive things that we have. That said, what I have to also, so now I spoke about Neptune and Nessus, and there is something else that I don't think it's a coincidence. I think it's a sign because now we have Ceres, Eris, and Chiron also all conjunct, all next to each other. So now everyone is looking at this, at Ceres and Eris. And for some reason, I am looking at this now because you know you have to see, depends, isn't it, which planet you have. If you were to have some planet in Cancer or in Capricorn, in Libra, then you'll be challengingly aspected by Eris and Ceres and Chiron. And then you might, care to know. But I'm interested to know because I have planets in. Yeah, this is squaring some and opposing some of my planets. So I'm following it. And this is why I have noticed that, first of all, we have Eris. Uh, so it's goddess Eris. For those of you who don't know, when you see Eris, you can observe for yourself, but especially in Eris, Eris brings conflict and chaos. So, and then in Aries, it's a trigger for anger. So you see another thing that points to chaos and conflict. And then Ceres here at 25 of Aries is an asteroid. And overall, it's associated with grief and regret about how we nurtured ourselves and others. Either this implies to your own connection to Mother Earth, Mother Nature, or to your own personal motherhood life. Right. As per my observation, yes, Ceres, for me, it shows up a lot when it's to do with grief and regret. So you have to observe and make your own conclusion. Obviously, they probably have other things, but these are the main theme of Ceres, and Eris. Right. And yeah, so what these three conjunctions together means that something upsetting and painful needs to be bravely faced in order to be healed. Right? Because Chiron is here at 24 or so. And Chiron is about having the wisdom and the vision and the skills to transform our wanting of not belonging into a magical gift. Okay, so once you could say once you master your pain of not fitting in, of being rejected somehow with Chiron, then it's like a tool that when you know how to use it, in fact, it becomes like a magical gift to have. It becomes like a blessing to have it. But obviously, if you have in your chart, it might take many years before you see it as a gift rather than as something that hinders you. But over time, you get used to, with Chiron, the pain, and you will understand it, and you realize that it's a gift. And also, Chiron has to do with the gift of foresight, of seeing the future, and self-healing gift, being good at healing yourself with herbs, herbal remedies, magic. Yes, so there's a lot of good things with Chiron. It's not just like most people say, oh, you have Chiron, it's just going to be pain. That's not like that. So yeah, this is what's going on with these three here. And so, yeah, I noticed this because this is here now at this eclipse, and that's no coincidence. 24, 24, and then you see 25. So it's nearly all exact. And it relates to the theme I said about Nessus and Mercury. So there is like another signal of something emotional, you know, a wounding about our identity that is painful. So I think I should have left this here. And also, so Mercury is going to stay in Pisces until the 15th of April. Then, thankfully, it will go into Eris. And so this means that until then, we can easily receive downloads from the universe. Because Mercury is about your thinking process. While it is in Pisces, a productive way to use this energy of Mercury now is for mental escaping through music and art. You can get answers through psychic insights more easily now. So take advantage of it. Still, it's recommended to not make any major decisions until the 21st of March onwards, when Mercury will finally and thankfully turn direct at about the same time that the Sun will enter Aries, and Mercury will go direct at 8 degrees of Pisces, and it will also conjunct the North Node at the same times. For this, cheers to see my video part 1, where I actually spoke about Mercury and the North Node a bit more than I'm going to do now. So you can check this out. Meanwhile, now Mercury is still retrograde in Pisces for another 2 weeks. We are still being challenged to reassess, review what we want to keep or let go of in the Pisces house of our chart. Right. And this is a rationally complex thing to do now, to sort out what we want to keep, what we want to let go. With Mercury in Pisces retrograde, again, you know, we can't really logically analyze the situation because our thoughts are foggy and our mind is confused. So we are likely to say the wrong things or to say too much because we are also being triggered spiritually and emotionally. And if you have strong emphasis in Gemini and Virgo in your birth chart, then this is more accentuated for you. Overall, these Mercury situations is asking us to watch for shady communications, confusions, and liars that can cause disputes, and we can have a conflict with our partners about contracts and agreements. Overall, there is some confusion and problems around planning because with this Mercury at this moment in time, there's a lot of conversations that we're having with tricksters. And if people are tricksters, they are confused themselves, and then we are confused. So, you know, let's go backwards to what I said. We have to use Mercury in Pisces for what it is good for. And so that's why we have to wait until it goes at least direct to start to have a clue of what we should do next. You know, what we can rely on. Because now we cannot rely on details. The solution is to go with the flow a bit more and to trust what inspires you. Because following a very specific to-do list, checklist to achieve your goal creates more resistance now. So it's best to simply explore an impulse, a feeling that makes you feel alive. So trust your gut feeling right now and go with what makes you feel alive. You know, go with what the impulse that brings you energy. To know what it is, you have to see where you have Jupiter in your chart. And this is what you should do. You should do Jupiter in your chart if you ever feel depressed or if you ever feel low in energy, because Jupiter is the planet that brings you dopamine. You know, so you do the activities of the Jupiter in your chart and see how you're going to get energized. I mean, obviously, it also depends how much dopamine you get when you do the activity, depending on how strong is your Jupiter. But still, Jupiter is what makes you feel alive. So, yeah, let's remember that this is a Pisces stellium right here. So, Pisces is where we have the wisdom. Just showing this is here. Pisces is where we have the wisdom to forgive others because we are conscious enough to see that they did us wrong because they were unconscious. Pisces is where we need to be disillusioned, to be freed from our illusions. Pisces is where we learn that life goes on. Like the ocean's waves, what goes up will come down, and who was down will rise up. Endlessly, into infinity, the wheels of fortune keep turning. There is a cyclical nature to everything in our life. Nothing remains the same. Yet at times our ego gets stuck and convinces us that we want a specific outcome or thing, but it might not be good for you. This is why not being able to let go often brings physical illnesses. Right? Crisis of Virgo. Like suppressed emotions in the heart can, for example, bring chest issues, or lying or not expressing your truth can bring throat issues, and so on. So our feelings and our spiritual hygiene, you know, is linked to our physical health. With this South Node in Virgo and this Virgo moon, we feel like we need to be in control to make things happen by force. However, now pushing and micromanaging won't work in making us feel safe. Yeah, because since the Pisces North Node and stellium in Pisces is showing us that when we surrender, we allow for unexpected opportunities to enter our lives. Often your wishes and dreams manifest when you have put a system in place and planned how to achieve your goal without becoming too attached to how things should be exactly happening, without becoming too attached to a specific outcome. On one side, Virgo, on the Virgo side, we need to analyze and to be in control. We want to fix, to repair something. We can even be obsessing over wanting a specific outcome. And then we miss the bigger picture of our situations. If our thinking is too narrow, we cannot see the infinite, endless opportunities which we can get from the other side, from seeing a different perspective in Pisces. In Virgo, we can get stuck in analysis paralysis. Our thinking process can become overcome by stress and anxieties because we are limited in our perception of the world. We search for a tangible and logical explanation of how the universe works. On the other hand, Pisces is saying, trust the divine will and let go of control. You need to express your ego in an healthier way, and to do this, remember that your ego can give you false illusions that you are in control. So surrender, as all will be fine, all is well. Is well, so relax is the message of the Pisces stellium. To find balance in this Virgo Pisces axis, in these polarities, make small shift in your mindset. Ask yourself, what's the next step I can take? Because this is what Virgo does. Step by step, you add all the pieces together, and then suddenly the bigger picture is done. So if you feel overwhelmed by some crisis in Virgo energies, you ask yourself, what's the next step? And you do this step, and then step by step, you move the energy around you. Do some feng shui in your home, in your wardrobe. Trying different things will unstuck you from a situation, and it will stop your mind chatter from only seeing a limited amount of possible outcomes to solve your problems. Remember, the universe is loving and wise. Once you surrender thinking how it should happen exactly as you want it to be, then you will get what you need rather than what you want. And most likely, what you need is better suited for you than what you think that you want. And lastly, we have 3 positive aspects that can help us at this time to stay optimistic, to find solutions, and to have some kind of clarity in the midst of the fog. So number 1, the moon is conjunct a fixed star called Zosma. See Zosma, Z-O-S-M-A. If you want to look for yourself. It's about, 11 of Virgo, I think. Let me check. So just for memory, you can see Zosma is there at 11:41. So it's just 1 degree from the moon. Okay, so we know it's here. Right. So the moon is conjunct fixed star Zosma at 11 and half of Virgo. This fixed star is about true knowledge and sciences and emotional depth. This is about caring for humanitarian causes and being a voice for those who have been unheard of, for being a voice for those who have been forgotten. It's about being a voice for those without a voice. So there is this. And then, let me remove everything. The sun is exactly also conjunct Pallas Athena. You see she's here at 12:20. Right, she's here. And Athena is a female warrior goddess. She's the goddess of creative intelligence, and she's associated with the planet Jupiter because she has wisdom. She is androgynous. She uses intelligence and wisdom as a defense, as a strategy to protect truth and justice. She's skilled at healing the immune system, and she's skilled at healing in general. She's skilled at art and craft. And Pallas Athena is a lot about strategizing in your attack. It's about using your mind to fight. So Pallas Athena will strategize and use clever tactic as much as she can before she would go to actual physical fight. So when Pallas Athena is with the sun, she's supporting us to take the lead with confidence. Yeah. So this all means that we have enough inner resources, faith, and knowledge to take the higher road and act in tune with our spirit and soul, to follow what pleases and nurture our emotional life. Then things will synchronistically fall into place once we detach from being overwhelmed by the details here at the South Node. We must remember that humans are designed to create. And this is why you can get depressed when all you do is consume. And there is a third eclipse opportunity. And the third one is that Venus here at 26:19 of Pisces is sextiling Uranus at 27:47 of Taurus. So when there is a sextile, this is a helping hand that is coming from Venus as she applies to this sextile to Uranus. This is a freeing aspect. This is an opportunity that we can easily catch and make happen. It's relational, creative, or financial. This sextile, this offer is very beneficial because Venus is extremely strong. In Pisces, we know she's exalted, but she's also near exaltation degrees in Pisces. The exaltation degree of Venus is 27. Okay, so and also Uranus too is completing her cycle at the end of Taurus. So what this all means that this is a financial deal or a relationship that we can finally go ahead with if only we grab this lucky break and close the deal, say yes or sign the agreement to get this little financial windfall or this love story off the ground. In general, Venus and Uranus signals a sudden change of fortune in new social and sexual experimentation, independence, a need for space and freedom in love. So expect expect the unpredictable. We know that with Uranus, expect the unpredictable in any case. So yeah, in any case, with a positive aspect like a sextile, relax as the changes will happen smoothly without stress. Also, Uranus is in Venus sign. As you see, Uranus is in Taurus, and Taurus is ruled by Venus. So that means that there is a reception between both planets, okay, because Uranus is in Venus home. Yeah, both planets are aspecting, and these give extra oomph to our luck opportunity. It improves this aspect. Again, Uranus is encouraging us to review our values and to realize that it is not just about us. There is a collective human race out there in the world. Uranus awakens us to go toward progression, to be avant-garde, into the mainstream, and to look beyond the horizon where we can unite our differences, to be on the side of humanity, and to resist the elites who use the darkest aspect of Uranus by using progress for their own selfish interest. As we see right now with transhumanism and AI technologies, some people use Uranus to abuse of their power, to fight for their own cause, which is threatening us. It's hurting humanity as a whole. Right. Because of centuries of bad programming, some people in power are taking advantage of us with their corrupt actions and inhuman actions all over the world. This Pisces energy is reminding us to stay in our heart, to have forgiveness and compassion, because hate is weaker than love, and love is the highest frequency word you can verbalize. Our words have power. Our emotions have power. And the most powerful and blissful state of being is love. So thank you for watching my video. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. Feel free to comment and like if you liked it, and check out my services if you want to ask me a question via the link in the description. Thank you for subscribing. I hope you got something interesting out of this video. And yes, I'm grateful for your time. And I will come back next time for the next video. And I wish you a good end of your day. And bye for now. Take care.